Paul, in August, you were DFA'd by the Mets and you went back home in Idaho. What was your reaction when the Yankees gave you a call?
Uh, I was I was shocked, you know, but excited. I feel like when a franchise like the New York Yankees, with all their history and everything, obviously great team this year and have had some really good runs, but just being able to play for a franchise like that, I think it's definitely special.
100%. Paul, you obviously spent a little bit of time with the Mets and a little bit of time with the Yankees. So I don't know if you totally answer this, but what would you say is the biggest difference between playing for the Yankees and the Mets?
Yeah, I would say, just from my experiences, I think the Yankees do kind of a good job of kind of what their culture is from you know past time decades or teams that seem to kind of carry on the Yankee way, and it's nothing that's really, I would say, talked about, but just how everyone kind of carries themselves and goes about their day to day. I feel like you can see that. I was there
Yeah.
for, I don't know what it was, 6 weeks maybe, and I just saw little things that it's like a family. It's like a family over there. It really was, and I felt extremely welcomed. From the first day I walked in there. I felt like guys kind of accepted me and just let me kind of be who I was and just kind of join that family right away.
Yeah, and it seemed like you fit in right away. Have you had any conversations about coming back? I assume you would like to come back.
No, no, I haven't heard anything. This is my first kind of go around with free agency,
Yeah.
so I'm not really sure when those conversations start or if it's after World Series or whatever. I really enjoyed my time there. Like I said, the guys were great, the coaching staff was great, training staff was great. Everyone there was just great and really fun to be around.
So would you say you'd be open to re-signing with the Yankees if it worked out?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a place I would consider coming back to. Like kind of like I touched on, it's the New York Yankees, and that's a pretty prominent franchise.
What was it like playing for Aaron Boone? Obviously, I'm sure you've heard he gets knocked around in the media all the time. Fans have a love-hate with him, but you played for him. What'd you think?
Honestly, I really enjoyed Booney. He's the same guy every single day, walking in there, making sure to go around, see how people are doing. Um, I don't have anything bad to say about him. Former player. I feel like he understands how the game is. He understands the ups and downs. He understands, just the different flows of the game. Um, but all in all, I enjoyed my time with him.
Paul, if you do end up re-signing with the Yankees, do you think there's anything that the team needs for the 2026 season?
As far
Like
as
anything you need to improve on, something like that along those lines.
Whether it be
uh,
pitching depth, more relievers, a power bat.
I don't know. That's hard to say. Like I said, I was there for such a short amount of time. I
Yeah, of
feel like
course.
if you're following kind of the World Series right now, and you take a look at just how the Blue Jays are kind of built throughout their lineup, I feel like they have a very lengthy lineup. As far as you have some guys in there that can do some damage, but then you also have guys in there that just grind down at bats. And when you're out there on the mound and it's 8, 9, 10 pitch at bats, that grinds you down, especially if you're trying to get the first out of an inning. So I feel like the Blue Jays are kind of showing some teams or just showing the league, like, if you're able to really put together guys that know their identity and know, like, hey, I'm a guy that's going to go out there and grind it at bat, mixed in with some power bats in there. I feel like that's kind of the recipe. At least it looks like for possibly this year.
We were just talking to Bucky Dent about this when we interviewed him last weekend. I feel like it's becoming a growing trend. A, a lot of people are sort of starting to move in that, not to go all anti-analytics, but sort of that contact and having that balanced lineup direction. So I'm curious if the Yankees do that. What was your favorite part about working with Matt Blake? Obviously, a pretty beloved coach in the Yankees organization.
Yeah, I feel like he just tries to simplify everything. You know, just letting you kind of be yourself. You know, I was in a, kind of just a weird place mechanically when I kind of first came over there to the Yankees, and it was just about me. You know, Matt and I we were working on just me being comfortable again out there and just on the mound and just kind of within my mechanics and being able to stay in my lanes. That's obviously the type of pitcher I am. I'm not going to blow anybody away, so being able to just kind of repeat my delivery again and then go from there. One thing that I did like kind of about the the Yankees pitching department was just I feel like they're extremely they keep everyone extremely prepped for every game. I feel like the scouting reports are very individualized. I feel like they make it pretty clear of like, hey, like this is what would work really really well for you against this guy, whether it's early late in counts, things like that. I feel like they do a very very good job with that.
Paul, what was it like watching Aaron Judge day in and day out?
I mean, it's unbelievable. That guy obviously like his numbers speak for himself on the field, but just like being around him every day, it's incredible. Just the type of person he is. It really is incredible. And it's I don't know. I've never really been around anybody like that. That's just a down to earth guy. I mean, he's unbelievable on the field, but like just down to earth. Like he's just a normal person. Just kind of go up to him, have a conversation, whatever you want. I'll talk about anybody, anything, talk to anybody. It's extremely cool to kind of see from inside the walls.
Paul, that Camp Schlittler outing was pretty impressive. I'm sure you guys were also very impressed. What was it like watching that? And what do you think his future holds? Is he legit?
Yeah, I think Cam's really good. He obviously showed that with his time up there this year, and I think it's only going to get better. Just kind of getting your feet wet and all that for him, and just the success that he had kind of gives him just the lanes to develop more. Whether it's certain secondary pitches, just more into his repertoire. And
Yeah.
I feel like as he gets older, he's gonna get stronger. He's gonna be more familiar with the league. He's gonna become more familiar with himself, and just being able to continue to put dominant outings together.
Yeah.
I think he's extremely special.
Paul, you pitched in the postseason for the first time this year. What was that like being a part of the Yankees in October? How excited were you for that?
Yeah, super excited. Really, kind of caught me off guard to even kind of be on a postseason roster. Really, was not expecting that by any means. But no, it was cool. It's something you obviously strive towards in your career as far as getting the postseason and pitching the postseason, winning a World Series, all of that. So just being able to kind of get that taste and kind of feel that just postseason environment. Um, it was special.
And so you said you were surprised when you made the roster. You thought someone was making it over you, and then take me through how that kind of works. Aaron Boone calls you in his office and tells you he made it, or how does that go?
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously my circumstances, I signed there, and when I showed up, it was a role of kind of just being the long guy and eating innings that innings need to be eaten. And I that's just kind of what I just kind of expected to do through the rest of last year and all that. And like I feel like I threw pretty well, you know, the last month or so of the season, but I didn't expect to be on that roster. And we
Yeah.
had a workout before the Red Sox series, and um, afterwards, Booney called me and was just like, "Hey, just want to let you know that he made the postseason roster, all that." And like, yeah, I was pretty just shocked by it, honestly. But I was extremely thankful for it and just being able to experience that.
Paul, we got one more question, just kind of wrapping everything up. Do you have any funny stories or any funny moments from your time with the Yankees that you like to share?
Uh,
We don't mean
Honestly,
to put you on
no.
the spot here. Yeah.
Yeah, no
I
pressure.
don't. I'm a pretty reserved guy as far as when especially when I show up into a place like that, and then also too, and middle to the end of the year, it's you don't know what the vibe is when you walk in. You don't know, kind of how it is. So I think it takes a while to just kind of get to starting to go with the flow, per se. No, I wouldn't say I had any like funny stories or anything like that, but like I just think, I was grateful every day I walked in there. Put on the pinstripes and just being able to just go out there at Yankee Stadium and compete when I was called on. Really, I just feel like that's kind of just a special moment of itself.
Paul, thank you so much for doing this. This was really cool. Again, our first current Yankee that we've talked to, and we hope you return in 2026.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me.